Hi, here in this video, I'm going to introduce in front of you sociology as an optional. Okay. Before I start with sociology, with the discussion of sociology, let me tell you that there are a number of myths which are going on in the market about sociology as an optional. These are myths, typically myths. Okay. Let me do one thing. Let me write down those myths for you to understand what kind of discussions are going. Right. Say, for example, the first myth that we are looking at, right? It says that so these are the myths we are talking about. The first thing says that it is a dry and academic subject, also theoretical in nature, and hence unsuited for the engineering or science graduates. That's the first myth that we hear about in the market. Number two, they also say that you have to remember a lot. You have to mug a lot or cram a lot, or rather, remember a lot in sociology. Especially the names of the thinkers. Okay, that's the second myth that goes on in the society, in the market rather, right? That you have to remember a lot, mug a lot, right? Those kind of things. Number three, it says that paper 2 is extremely dynamic. Do you realize how these myths, they contradict each other? You can only mug or cram something which is static in nature. Now, if you're saying paper 2 is extremely dynamic, how can someone mug it or cram it, right? So yes, the myths themselves, they are self-contradictory anyway. But people, they say these things, they talk about these things. So that's why I'm just introducing them in front of you, and then I'll introduce the subject sociology for you. Okay. The last one, that you can score only up to a certain extent in sociology. They say something around 240 to 250. That's the limit. Okay, fine. These are the myths which go on about sociology in the market as such, right? And let's see what actually is happening, right? See, I'm not going to tell you anything which is unsubstantiated. Rather, what I'm going to do, I'm going to look at some of the things, I'm going to show you some of the things, and then accordingly, I'm going to introduce the subject. Okay. First, I have a question for you. Tell me about one particular optional where more than 1,000 students, they have taken this optional, and 10% or more, they have qualified with that optional. Why I'm asking this question? Say 15, 16 people, they took one particular subject as an optional. They prepared with that, and then out of them, 3 or 4 students, they qualified. If you ask me, I would be giving the credit to those 3, 4 students and not to the subject, right, who qualified. Maybe they were exceptional with that particular subject. That's why they qualified, right? So here the subject is not helping you. But if one particular subject is being taken by 1,000 plus students, right, and then 10% or so they're qualifying, that means the subject is also helping those students to qualify, right? The subject gets the credit here. So that's my question. You tell me about one particular subject where 1,000 plus students, They are taking the subject, and 10% or above, they are qualifying with it. Okay. I'm going to look at the 71st annual report of UPSC to look at this particular data. Why the 71st annual report? The 72nd annual report is also in the market. We have this 72nd annual report as well. UPSC normally delays a bit, so that's how things happen. But in the 72nd annual report, data is not much there. They have been talking about the other things, other things that they have been doing, their other achievements. But about the data of the examination, that's not much there, right? So that's the reason why I'm being practically forced to look into the 71st annual report of UPSC, right? Let's look at that particular annual report for once. Now, let me tell you one thing. This is UPSC's annual report. It's not me who's saying anything here, right? I'm going to page number 86. You can see this is page number 86 actually. I typed 100, you may get confused. It's because number of words, number of pages are there which are in the there were pages which were unmarked pages. So that's the reason why I had to type 100, but it's actually the 86th page of the report. Now, what am I looking at? This is the table giving us data about distribution of candidates who appeared or recommended, vis-a-vis recommended by optional subjects. Civil Services Mains Examination 2019. So those students who appeared in 2019 with these particular optionals, how many of them appeared and how many of them qualified? And who's giving this data to us? UPSC is giving this data to us. And what was my question to you? That show me those optionals with which 1,000 or more students appeared and 10% and above qualified. Right? This was my question to you. Let's see. See, exactly, you can see with respect to animal husbandry, there were 16 students and 3 of them qualified. So if you ask me, I'll say high chances those 3 students, they genuinely had strong command over the subject of animal husbandry. More than the subject, I'll be giving credit to those 3 students. Clear? So let's look at those subjects with which 1,000 plus students they appear. Right? And this is not according to me, this is according to the data given by UPSC. Again and again, I'm repeating that point. Okay. See, number 1, anthropology, 1,189 students who appeared, 108 students who were recommended, who were qualified. Recommended means who qualified ultimately. Was a percentage 9.1. Even then, it's a good percentage. But my question was 10% and above, right? Then I'm looking at geography, 1,916. Out of them, 105, that is 5.5% around, who qualified. The next figure, I'm looking at political science and international relations, 1,662. How many qualified? 1,037, right? 8.2%. And last, the fourth subject with which 1,000 plus students, they appeared, that is sociology, 1,263. 126, that is 10% who qualified. Clear? So one thing I'm realizing from this particular table given to us by UPSC, that sociology as an optional itself helps the students to qualify. That one thing I can say. Right now, at least the data that has been given to us by UPSC, according to that data, sociology is that optional where 1,000 plus students, number 1, there are only 4 subjects with which 1,000 plus students they appear. And sociology is the only one where I'm looking at the success rate to be around 10%. Right? Now, if I look at the myth or the myths which we talked about, the last myth that you can score only up to a certain extent in sociology, right? They gave us this particular figure. Right? If I say so, then let me ask you, if this is the condition, how come 10% around students they qualified? Right? Then again, let's talk about the other aspects. Let's now talk about the content of sociology. Believe me, we all know something or the other about sociology. How come? The subject matter of sociology, what sociology studies, is the society. So say, for example, you, me, we here in India, we study the Indian society. We also study the principles, but primary focus for us always remains on the Indian society, right? Now, you tell me, is Indian society completely alien to you? Is it so? No, it's not. You're born and brought up in this particular society. So whether you want it or not, you know a lot about this society already. Any particular faculty who's a good faculty, he or she, what they do, they actually they give a direction to your understanding, because you already have those understandings with you. You already know a lot about sociology or about society, Indian society to be more precise, right? So they just give it a shape. They say, okay, fine, you know about these two three things, there can be these many dimensions as well, these many variations as well. They just give it a shape, nothing more than that, because you already know a lot about the Indian society, right? Say, for example, if I talk about family, right? Is family something new to you? You are born in a family, right? Now, just tell me, if I say that previously there was a time when we used to see in India prevalence of joint family system, but gradually over a period of time, we are looking at the decline of the joint family, and instead I'm looking at rise of nuclear family system. Clear? So is that something completely new to you? It can't be. Clear? On the other hand, let's take the example of marriage, maybe, right? If I say that there was a time in India when we mostly used to go for arranged marriages, suitable partners were chosen by the families. The candidate, the individual candidates here, they hardly had any say. The families, they used to take the responsibility based on caste, then subcaste, that is Varna and Jati, and other aspects. They used to choose a suitable bride or a groom for the candidate, and accordingly, the marriage used to take place, right? So we used to look at arranged marriage system. Gradually, over a period of time, we looked at rise of love marriage as against arranged marriages. Even in the early eras, love marriage was mostly dominated by caste. Even there, the partners, they used to prefer to take some opinion of the families. Gradually, caste started losing its meaning. Love marriage became very rampant. Today, even we are looking at rise of live-in relationship, right? Uh, I'm not going much in details, but just let me tell you two particular verdicts of the Supreme Court, one given in 2012, the other given in 2014. These two verdicts of the Supreme Court, they practically equated live-in relationship with marriage. They gave the live-in partner every right as that of the spouse. Clear? So after that, today, if I talk about, yes, I must admit that a live-in relationship is practically being equated with marriage. So that's also a new form of marriage, right? Now, is arranged marriage, love marriage, live-in relationship, these things are new to you? Are you listening to these things for the first time from me? Can't be, right? So this is what sociology is. But even here, I gave a direction to your understanding. Number of you took a live-in relationship as something very, very casual or something of that sort, right? No, I told you that there have been two particular verdicts of the Supreme Court. As a result, it's no more casual. It's not something casual in nature anymore. It has become a very serious relationship. Today, it is being treated equally with marriage. Clear? Now, that's a new dimension. That may be a new dimension to you, but live-in relationship altogether, you have never heard of this thing. Am I going to believe that? Or should I believe that? Can't be. Clear? So now here itself, you tell me that is sociology completely dry or academic? And more than that, if you have to talk about sociology as a subject, we would always say, or at least I would always say, don't go for mugging or cramming. Understand things. These things are happening in and around you. If you have your ears and eyes open, you will be very easily able to see these things happening in and around you. So don't go for mugging or cramming. Understand them and then write them on your own. Okay? In fact, even while writing answers, don't go for bookish examples. Go for examples which are happening in and around you. Clear? So that's what my suggestion would be about sociology. So this is not a subject where you need to mug or cram. However, about the thinkers, let me come to that point. See, you, me, we are not authorities, right? We cannot call ourselves sociologists. Sociologist is a very big term. Those people who have dedicated their life to the subject of sociology, they can only call themselves sociologists. Say, for example, I'll be talking about Andre Bete. Yogendra Singh is no more among us. So maybe I may not be able to mention Yogendra Singh, but obviously Yogendra Singh was also one of the sociologists. Similarly, the great scholars, whomsoever, G.S. Ghurye, M.N. Srinivas, A.R. Desai, they all were sociologists. Neela Desai, wife of A.R. Desai, they all were S.C. Dubey, they all were great sociologists. Here only you heard me taking so many names, right? These are people who dedicated their lives to the subject of sociology. Now, why do we need to know these names? As I told you, me, we are not authorities, right? If we are saying something, if we are giving an idea, if we are discussing an idea, from where did we get that idea? Is it your idea or my idea? Did you go to the field and study? Did I go to the field and study and came up with those ideas? No, we didn't, right? But these people, they did. So whenever a concept is discussed, right, along with the concept, we talk about a few stalwarts of, and that too only a very handful, maybe 10, 11, 12, or something of that sort, right? So a handful of such stalwarts we talk about who have been going to the field, they studied things on the ground, they told us about the reality. So when we talk about that, when we talk about those concepts, we need to give the credit to those people, or rather to justify ourselves. I wish you have heard the phrase justify your answer, right? Which UPSC quite often and asks, right? How to justify? Because I'm not an authority, you're not an authority. So if you're writing something, how are you going to prove that? There are two ways to prove it. Number one, use examples or case studies, right? Or use the work of the predecessors, those people who worked previously, use their work and justify your answer. That's why, yes, at times we do refer to their works. Now, is that really so difficult? Because even in history, just think about the names which all you have studied. It's not just about Mr. M.K. Gandhi or Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru or Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. I'll be talking about Mahadev Govind Ranade, Justice retired Mahadev, no more obviously, no more among us. Mahadev Govind Ranade, M.G. Ranade, Gopal Krishnan Gokhale, Dadabhai Nauroji Fardunji, Behramji Malabari, Jyotiba Phule, right? Sri Narayana Guru, P. Tyagaraja, C. Mudaliar, T.M. Nair, E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar Periyar, that is, right? Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. You keep on, the list is unending. No? Is it so difficult to remember their names and their works? No. Because not only the society has benefited from their works, again and again we have heard their names, and as a result, those names, they became very, very common to us, right? I didn't even take the name of Raja Ram Mohan Roy or Ishwachandra Vidyasagar, Maharshi D.K. Karve. So many people are there, so many great stalwarts are there, right? So obviously, in any subject, we have to talk about those people, those great people who have been contributing tremendously for the sake of the subject, right? That's how it is. Just for your all the names that I have taken till now in with respect to history, believe me, these are the names you need to know with respect to GS history, modern India, right? Social movement of India and the social reforms in India and modern India. I was looking at those names only, just those names only. So tell me, even for GS as well, you need to learn about those, so many people. So fine, what's wrong in that? And for that, why do you have to mug? Don't mug. Understand what they have been talking about, understand what they have been doing, right? Why I'm focusing so much on understanding, logical and rational understanding, let me tell you that. See, we, or me or faculties like me, we are not going to set the question papers, right? Question papers would be set by someone else. We can at max, so we cannot predict the questions. Exact questions cannot be predicted by us. Why? We can predict the areas at max. Say 70-80% of the areas can be predicted. Okay, these are the areas from where we expect questions to be asked. Okay, but then again, you give me one area and I can frame at least 20 questions from that area. Any single area, you give that area to me, give a topic to me, and I can frame at least 20 questions. If I can do that, anyone can do that. So as a result, predicting question and then writing the answer, mugging the answer, going and writing that answer only is out of question. What you should be doing, what any student should be doing, understand the discussions, understand the concepts, and then based on the demand of the question, always focus on the demand of the question while writing. Based on the demand of the question, write your answer, structure the answer, and write your answer accordingly. Right? So here, please don't go for a mugging or cramming. Understand the concepts. Okay. As for scoring marks, see, any sincere student, right, who have even gone for self-study with sociology, they can score 240 marks around. It's possible. 220 to 240, it's possible. Yes, even those who have gone for self-study. The challenge is to take this marks to 300, and it's possible. Don't tell me it's not possible. It's possible, but in stages. I told you that any sincere student who has even gone for self-study can score around 220 to 240, right? What we do here in classes, the faculties we try to fine-tune the nitty-gritties. So when you're writing the answers, number of aspects, the way I told you, okay, when you're writing the answer, also justify your answer. Use either examples or case studies or the works of previous scholars, right? The stalwarts, use their works and justify your answer. This proves that you know the concept by heart. And I told you that when going for examples, use examples from the present times. Don't use examples which are written in the book or say Hallam versus Holborn, or say, for example, IGNOU materials. Number of examples would be given there. Don't go for those bookish examples. Look at what's happening in and around you. Take examples from there. You know what happens as a result? The examiner who's going through the copy, the examiner gets the confidence that you have understood the concept. Because you've understood the concept, that's why so easily you're being able to relate those concepts with the happenings in and around you, and you're being able to draw those examples. So we, the faculties, we help you in that respect. Say you as a student, you've been looking at only one or two dimensions. We can make you look at all the possible dimensions of the concept or the phenomena in question, right? As a result, what happens? The score immediately jumps from 240 to 270 to 280. From that range of 220 to 240, it very easily comes to 270 to 280. Some more issues are there if we can take care of them. Say, for example, time management, presentation. Then, as I told you, that we need to understand the question, read the question again and again, try to understand the trend of the questions, and then structure the answer exactly according to the demand of the question. If we can do that much only, right? I'm not asking for much. Clear? So if we can do that much at least, even then the score can go to 300. 300 means nothing. I'm just asking you to score 6 out of 10, right? I don't want you to get 7.5 out of 10, because believe me, if you try to get 7.5 out of 10 in one particular short note, you'll be losing another short note. You'll be losing the time of that short note. That's where comes time management. So there are a number of nitty-gritties on which we work. And as a result, it's possible to score 300 or so in sociology, right? Very easily, that score can be taken to anything in between 290 to 300. It's possible. It's very much possible. So that particular thing that in sociology, you can only score this much, it's so wrong. And that's also visible in the result, the result that was given to us by UPSC, the result of 2019. You can easily realize that. Okay. Now, sorry. If I talk about so practically you can understand the most of the myths, how they are so blatant lies. One particular myth which is there, that paper 2 is extremely dynamic. What do you mean by extremely dynamic? Right? Paper 2 talks about the society around us right now. But even then, you need to discuss the principles, the theories that you have studied in paper 1. Right? So any paper, it can be dynamic only to the extent of 20%. Remaining 80% of the paper would be theories. It has to be. Clear? So what do you mean by extremely dynamic? In fact, believe me, for Indian society, for international relations, for economy, in GS, you'll be studying more amount of current affairs than what is needed in sociology. So practically the current affairs or the dynamic part of sociology, you're in any way you're covering that with respect to the GS paper. So paper 2, and why is paper 2? Even paper 1, when writing answers in paper 1, I would say use examples to justify what you're writing from in and around you, from what's happening around you, right? So this is what my suggestion would be. So now tell me, is it really so dynamic? No, it's not. 20% dynamic area, 80% static area, and then again, the dynamic area I'm talking about, you're in any way you have to study about that dynamic area. So what is dynamic? Clear? Now, these are the aspects of sociology as a subject. Now, how it helps, why this 10% or so, this particular percentage that I'm looking at, why so much, why so high with sociology? Let's try and understand that. See, sociology as a subject, it no doubt it helps you. In addition to that, let's look at the impact of sociology in the other areas of the examination, right? If I talk about GS mains paper 1, the paper where we have modern history, art and culture, post-independence association, world history, Indian society. Indian society is a typical area which is taken from the discussion of sociology, right? Then comes the one area in paper 2 called land reforms. We have to study that area thoroughly in sociology, right? Then comes social justice in paper 2. Again, an area we need to understand thoroughly. We need to understand those concepts properly. Maybe not to the extent what is required in GS, but we do, at least the basic understanding is there. That's why I told you that in GS, you'll be dealing with more amount of current affairs. Yeah, more number of programs and policies. But if you can use those examples from GS into sociology answer as well, your answer gets enriched. Okay. But in any way, conceptually, you have to study those aspects of social justice in sociology as well. Similarly, in paper 3, when you're studying about economy, Indian economy, say impact of economy on society, right? Whether the agricultural economy, when we talk about green revolution and its impact and all these things, you have to study those things in sociology as well, right? So that's a vast area where I'm looking at impact of sociology as a subject. More than that, the biggest advantage is provided to us by the paper of essay, the essay paper. Let me do one thing. Let me look at the last few years essay papers. But before doing that, let me tell you, we ordinarily say that sociology is one particular subject where if you're very unlucky, if you consider yourself to be extremely unlucky, right? Even then, at least one topic would be common for you. And if you consider yourself to be moderately lucky or that's how, not very unlucky, you'll get both the topics actually from sociology in your essay paper. How am I saying this? Let's look at the previous year's essay papers, okay? More than me telling you anything, let's look at the papers here, papers directly. This is the essay paper of 2022. Clear? Look at the topics here. Number 1, this particular statement, poets are unacknowledged legislators of the world. This is a statement of Plato. Okay, fine. Not only sociology, but even in, I would say, political science, they would be claiming this particular topic. But let's talk about topic number 3. History is a series of victories won by the scientific man over the romantic. A scientific man having scientific thought process, rational thinking, right? The way they have been influencing the society, the way they have been writing history. Writing history is what? They have been influencing the society. Say Raja Ram Mohan Roy, say Pandit Ishwarchandra Vidyasagar, say Behram J. Malabari, say Jyotiba Phule, the way they have been impacting Indian society and they have been reshaping Indian society. Swami Vivekananda, Dayanand Saraswati, right? So there, now all these scholars whose name I took, they all were rational people. They all had one thing in common, and that's scientific thinking, thinking with logic, right? So now tell me, what is history, right? In sociology, again and again we say, history is the sociology of the past and sociology is the history of the present, right? So exactly that's what I'm looking at. Similarly, a ship in harbor is safe, but that's not what ship is for, right? Look at those societies who have prompted people to take challenge. Those societies who gradually started becoming dormant, they started getting into a sleepy mode. Look at those societies, and on the other hand, look at those societies which have been prompting people to take challenges, right? See how those societies they proceeded, those societies which have been pushing people to take challenges. Clear? In that respect, look at this particular topic. And then again, let's look at things here. Topic number 6, you cannot step twice in the same river. This is a typical question taken from social change, the topic of social change in the syllabus of sociology. We in sociology, we say that the only constant thing in the society is change. Change is the only constant, right? So say the time that has passed by, you cannot get that time back. We say history repeats itself, but believe me, some of the parameters would be different. Nothing can be completely fixed. Nothing can be completely as they were. Clear? Say, for example, if you go to a river, the water you'll get there. This water will flow by. Tomorrow, if you go to the same river, to the same spot, a new state of water has come there, right? So that's what is happening with the society as well. The time is flowing, and with time, changes are coming in. Nothing is as it was previously. Nothing is as it was yesterday, right? That's the understanding. It's a typical topic from social change. Now, let me look at the question paper of 2021, the essay paper of 2021, right? I'm looking at this particular topic, topic number 2. Your perception of me is a reflection of you. My reaction to you is an awareness of me, right? There is a thinker in sociology called G.H. Mead. In paper 1, we study that him, George Herbert Mead. There's a typical understanding of George Herbert Mead called generalized others, right? When we look at the society, we look at the reflection of ourselves. Clear? So typically from sociology, this topic is taken. And not only that topic. Look at this topic. Hands that rocks the cradle rules the world. Clear? What is this? It says cradle. What is cradle? Cradle is the bed where newborn babies are laid down, the swings, right? Mothers, they lay down the babies in the swings and they keep on rocking that cradle, rocking that swing. And the baby, they go get into sleep as a result of that. There's a typical discussion about that those mothers who are shaping us, who are building us, if they want, they themselves can rule the world. If they can build us to rule the world, they themselves, they also, if properly trained, they can also rule the world. Capability wise, they were no less than us, right? If we talk about the military academy, IMA Dehradun, or NDA Pune, or the SBP NPA, right, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel National Police Academy, you'll always see the decorated, highly decorated officers going there and providing training to the new young guns, right? So what's happening? The best, they go and they train the new recruits, right? The cadets who get in. So from here itself, you can understand that those people who actually groom the future generation, they themselves, they have tremendous potential. They themselves, if properly trained, they can do a lot. They can do a great. There is a phrase which says, you educate a man, the man will feed the family. You educate a woman, she'll educate next 3 generations, right? Here, I'm typically looking at women's empowerment. And this idea that we are looking at, this was also the idea of Raja Ram Mohan Roy when he took up the issue of women's empowerment or emancipation at that stage, at the point of time, right? So this is what I'm looking at. Again, a typical topic from sociology. I can keep on going. This was 2022, this is 2021. Similarly, I can go for 2020, 2019. Year after year, the same thing you will see, right? It will just consume our time, nothing more than that. But year after year, you'll be seeing the same thing. Clear? So this is what sociology is. And that's why this subject, it helps us so much in cracking this examination, in getting qualified. Clear? I hope I have been able to lay down all the aspects in front of you properly and you've understood. If you're getting any confusion further, you can easily look at the description given below. There will be a WhatsApp number given. You can easily WhatsApp on that, or even Telegram us on the Telegram link that's given there. Right? Thank you. Thank you.